Hi legends, welcome back. It's a bit of a new, different video today. As you've seen in the title, we are doing an essential recap of the Hunger Games. The first one. Basically, I've always wanted to cover the Hunger Games for the longest time, but copyright has made that a pain. I've made many videos now. I think I've made 2 videos on the Hunger Games, the movie, doing a little watch along, a little commentary. But each and every one of them has gone into copyright prison. So they've never been freed, and I'm fed up. So with the release of the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes on its way, November 17th, I thought in preparation for that I would do a little recap of the first Hunger Games movie because I'm a big fan of this series. I need my pin. I need my Mockingjay pin. 1 second. So yeah, before we get into this, if you want to check out my socials, they are there. If you want to check out my Patreon, that is there. And if you want to subscribe, go for it. I wouldn't complain. Let's get to 60k. Woo! Okay, we start with an advertisement from Crest 3D whitening strips and the power of facial hair. Combined, they are unstoppable. These 2 ads talk to each other about the Hunger Games. We learn that only women and men aged between 12 and 18 can be picked to fight in the games. So basically children. Children can be chosen. Love as well how in this little interview they think oh, the Hunger Games is about unity, it's about bringing people together because no one loves death more than a group of people. That's what's going to bring the community together. It's an interesting idea they have, that the Hunger Games is representative of unity. I think it brings together the unity they weren't searching for in the capital, but I think it's very funny how this all turns out to be. Before Mr. Beard, though, can answer Crest 3D White Strips' question, we have the most dramatic cut in cinematic history. I know you can still hear it. Yeah, that scream changed lives. Mine. That scream, though, was the sound of Primrose Everdeen waking up from her little nightmare as she is stressed about the fact that this is her first time being in the Hunger Games reaping. It's the first time she is eligible to be chosen to fight in the games. Here is where we meet our protagonist Katniss Everdeen as she reassures Prim that she won't get chosen. But one may argue that Primrose was just the queen of manifestation. Also wanted to say, despite her name being Katniss, she is indeed not a cat person. Never has been, never will be. Feels a bit forced if you ask me. How is your name Katniss? And you're not a cat person? Suspicious, questionable. I would like to have a conversation with Suzanne Collins. Does she think she's hilarious? Because, girly, you are. Katniss is a runner, she's a track star, she's easily clearing 10k steps a day, she runs off into the woods, and then this is when we see that she's at one with nature. Her archery kit is also hidden in the woods, and this is when we also see that this shouldn't be something that she should do. No, Katniss, don't shoot that bow and arrow, ooh, no one should know because it's hidden in a tree, and clearly girl bossing it in the woods isn't welcome in this little District 12. Anyways, though, whilst Katniss is lining up this great shot, the perfect shot to eliminate this deer, Mr. Mel Pellenstell enters the chat. He also goes by the name Gale. Anyway, though, he shouldn't have come here, and she should have declined that friend request. The first thing he does on screen is ruin our girl boss's shine. She was literally about to get dinner, and he said, "Nah, this is called the Hunger Games for a reason." Back to Mel Pellenstell, though. He's going off about how the Hunger Games suck. Yeah, thanks. I had no idea. I thought this was a party. Gale has this whole plan to run off into the woods with Katniss and escape the world they live in. And so true, bestie. I get it. Things are hard. But Katniss would rather do anything but that. Sure, things are bad at home, but alone in the woods with Gale? A girlie saw those odds and just, no, not taking that. Gale hands Katniss a piece of bread and she questions whether it's real or cake. It's real. It's the first good thing he does in this movie and the last. Like, I'm talking about the entire series. I love bread. That roll looks scrumptious. Also, Katniss is better than me because if I was there, I would have let Mr. Gale know that he is whiter than the inside of that roll. More importantly though, good news. The best news of the movie so far. Gale's name has been entered into the Reaping Bowl 42 times. Like, yes, take him. Please take him. Finally getting a break from Gale, Katniss heads on over to the market to trade some stuff that she girl bossed and got. And this is where she gets the Mockingjay pin. Love how they just had Mockingjay merch though, like, ready to go before the rebellion even started. Like, this lady in the market was ahead of her time. True visionary, if you ask me. I hope she got her coin. China Anne McClain's platinum-selling song, Calling All the Monsters, starts blaring through the speakers in District 12, and that means all the people gather into the town centre for the 74th annual Hunger Games Reaping. Kind of funny though, because Katniss gives Prim her Mockingjay pin and tells her, as long as you have it, nothing bad will happen to you. Wow. Gale mouths something to Katniss along the lines of, will you be my girlfriend? And Katniss spits on the ground, and yeah. Miss Effie Trinket finally appears, and she is the slayest of all slays. Like, talk about fit. We see the cutest little slideshow presentation about the history of Panem and the games, which talks about how, as a punishment for the rebellion, one male and one female tribute from each of the 12 districts is chosen to fight to the death in an arena. Oh, and it's all going to be broadcast on national TV. They really didn't hold back, though, in using crossover fade transitions in their little broadcast. I just also want to know where they get all their stock footage from, because I just don't see Panem being the nation of stock footage. You know? They don't scream that to me. Disaster strikes though, dun dun dun, when Effie picks Primrose's name out of the fish bowl. Oh no, not Primrose. But yes indeed. Both of them look like they just shat their pants after they hear her name being pulled, and can you blame them? Luckily though, Katniss shouts the iconic line, I volunteer as tribute, and takes Prim's place in the games. So technically Katniss didn't lie when she said the Mockingjay would protect her. Suzanne, her mind. But also, am I possibly evil for saying that I would have liked to see Prim fight in the Hunger Games? It's not like it would have changed the overall outcome anyway, but that's for another video. But because Katniss volunteered, not only is she braver than I'll ever be, but she's setting world records. The stakes here are high. She is the first ever volunteer for District 12 ever. That's impressive. No one else in 74 years has done what she's done. She would be in the Guinness Book of World Records for whatever year this was. Go boss, go slay. Everyone in the room though does the little, basically meaning they think, oh my god, she's about to be eliminated, she's not coming back, we're never seeing her again, because if you read the books, you would know. Katniss makes a comment about the 3-finger salute being used, like, in funerals. They really said a girlie's got no chance. They had no hope in her here. If you're a fan of pita bread, you might be a fan of the series. Let me tell you that. For the male tribute, Peter Malark. Peter is chosen. He also responds to the boy with the bread, choose your fighter. And also that's Peter with 2 E's, not E-R. Peter, we're really emphasising the eat. Ooh, that's just rude. Sucks for him though, because he has 2 other brothers and neither of them volunteered for him. Like, I know I'm dying, but I'd be embarrassed if I'd just seen Katniss volunteer for Prim and then none of my siblings volunteer for me. Not that I'd want them to, but could pretend at least. Like, you know, you could just at least do a little hesitation, a little movement. But there's nothing. It's dead silence. They give nothing. I'd be embarrassed. Like, my siblings don't love me as much as Katniss loves Prim. My bad besties. The The magical Mockingjay pin is given back to Katniss, and it gives her the power to pop off on her mother. She's all up in her face like, act like an adult. That's the gist of her last meeting with her mother in this movie. Sadly, Gale, though, is the last person she sees before her and Peter are whisked off into the train. He tells her this nugget of information, that hunting animals is no different than hunting and killing humans. Okay, bestie. Okay. Also, there's definitely some sexism at play in this little meeting room that they have, because Gale's time is up with Katniss and the peacekeepers put him away really gently, like kind of slowly, not a care in the world. Prim and her mum snatched, pulled to the gods, like they were in some dang candy grabber. They were just snatched. In my humble opinion, Gale wasn't taken fast enough. Inside Thomas the Tank Engine, Katniss pretends she can't hear Peter speak until she realises he is the boy with the bread, aka the one that saved her from starvation by throwing her some bread from his bakery when she was on death's door. Maybe that's where her love of bread really came from. In enters Haymitch, mentor and previous winner of the Hunger Games. He is wearing a wig so good, I was stunned when I found out Woody Harrelson is actually bald in real life. That was a shocker to me, and it still is. Some of you wig fanatics out there might tell me that that's an awful wig that he was wearing, but I don't see it. I truly thought my man had a full head of luscious hair. No, my whole life's a lie. He didn't. He's bald? What do you mean he's bald? Sean Evans who? Suddenly, though, we are on Nickelodeon as Haymitch uses his foot to sit Peter down. Dan Schneider, where you at? Basically, tensions were high and they were rising as Katniss and Peter wanted advice on how to win over sponsors, but Haymitch was drunk and not in the mindset or the headspace to give them any advice. The next day, after a few slices of bread and a jug of water, Haymitch starts giving advice to Peter and Katniss. Being asked to pass the jam and marmalade sends Katniss over the edge and she slams a knife in between Haymitch's fingers. And then we get the iconic quote, "That is mahogany!" Haymitch calls Katniss unlikable as he lets her know her best way of surviving the Hunger Games is to get people to like you so they will send you sponsors. Like if HelloFresh pulled through when you're in the games, you're set, you know, you've got like a whole meal prep, meal plan, you're good. Still waiting, guys, still waiting. Like a TikToker though, Peter's up there in the window dancing for the Capitol crowds as Thomas the Tank Engine pulls into the station. Katniss isn't sure on the moves though, and therefore she just stays seated. She does not get up, she does not start in the TikTok trends. Prepping the tributes so that they are TV ready, Capitol approved, Katniss is basically told she is minging as they mention she needs more than one bath to clean her off. They're like, you need to be hosed down again, Dusty. Yep. Finally, though, 2 bath bombs later, Katniss meets her stylist Cinna, played by the iconic Lenny Kravitz, father of Zoe Kravitz. He is such an icon in these movies. He defined thinking outside the box. He's like, you are not going to be known as a coal miner. You're going to be known as the girl on fire, and that she was. A Star is Born. His creation is so good, it literally catches fire. The fit slayed too hard. Also, I feel like Anna Kendrick when she said she forgot she was in Twilight, because I had no memory of Jack Quaid. I don't know if I'm saying that right, please don't scrutinise me, but I had no memory of him being in the Hunger Games, but here he is. Here he was, and he existed. Did he do much? No. Did he make much of an impact? No. But he was there. Another honourable cast mention though, and I think even more iconic than Jack Quaid, is Miss Baddie from Wizards of Waverly Place, Wizards vs. Angels. It is debatable which piece of media made a bigger impact on society, The Hunger Games, or that episode of Wizards of Waverly Place, Wizards vs. Angels. That whole thing? I don't know, very debatable, let me know down below. But Miss Baddie from that is in this movie. Whilst riding in their chariots, the boy with the bread tries to hold Katniss's hand, but she doesn't want none of it. She's like, ugh, disgusting, get away from me. That is until he reminds her they need to seal the deal with like a HelloFresh sponsor for the games. Like, they need to jazz this up. They need to get the sponsors to want them, you know, for that 60-second integration. And then she's like, okay, we can do this. And they go, wah! And they really shine. They stole the show. Old fart President Snow is also there, and he does a little speech, you know, as any president would. And he says something along the lines of, welcome to the jungle. We've got fun and games. We've got everything you want, honey. We know the names. In the hotel, District 12 have the penthouse, as they are the last district. They are the highest number, therefore it goes like in order. So District 1 will be on the bottom floor, District 12's on the top. You get it, you're not thick. But at that point, I'd be so excited to get into the arena because I'm a girlie that's scared of heights, so I would love to be in that arena because it's on the floor. The penthouse all the way at the top. Ooh, I'd be sick. In their bedrooms, they have this funky projection thing that allows them to like change what they see on their windows. And Katniss chooses the woods from Twilight. Solid choice. In the training place, there's a tribute from, I believe, District 4 or 5, and he looks like he could be anywhere between the ages of 12 to 47. There is no, like, he's either or. 12, 47, choose your fighter. He could be either one, I don't know. Another important note is some loser falls from the monkey bars and twists his ankle. Well done, you dumb pooter. Your chances were already so low, and now you made them 0. Bars, ooh. A fight breaks out though with Kato from District 1, also known as a career. Basically, a career is someone that's been trained up for the Hunger Games like their entire life, and that's what happens in District 1. Kids are trained to volunteer to be in the Hunger Games. I'd love to be in District 1. My name gets picked, I know I'm going to be safe because a career is going to pop in because they want to like win the games. They have a high success rate as well, just putting that out there. But the fight that's breaking out in the training room is because sneaky little Rue stole his knife, and this is when I knew she was an icon. More on her later though. The gang returned to the penthouse for an evening feast, and the spread looks so good, I'd be tempted to volunteer myself into the Hunger Games. Hungry no more. I feel like this is such an underrated quote, but Katniss mentions to Haymitch that Peter can throw a 100-pound sack of flour over his head, and then Peter says,
I'm not going to kill anybody with a sack of flour. No,
that's peak comedy. It's too good. No one talks about that line, and I find it hilarious. I rewatched it the other day and I was like, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard in any movie or TV show. And then it gets even worse because this line is just plain mean and brutal. Peter's mum said, District 12 might finally have a winner. But she wasn't talking about Peter. She was talking about Katniss. I would not recover. Oh, that's brutal. In training, Peter tries to climb this rope but fails miserably. Mandy falls flat on his ass. As a solution to this embarrassment, Katniss is all like, go throw that 100-pound ball. And to his credit, he does. He does it very well. You know, like, very well. He picks up the big-ass kettlebell and he launches it. And I mean launches. He launches it across the room. Like, you've never seen a kettlebell this big in your life before, okay? It really is an achievement. Don't play it down. He sends it into, like, a rack of javelins. And, yes, everyone fear him because he can throw a 100-pound kettlebell right at your head. Would you survive that? No. But I do like this moment because it's the first time we see Katniss looking out for Peter. We also learn that Peter is a bit of an artist, you may call him, you know, he just dabbles a little bit. He paints his hand like a bloody tree branch. No other way to put it. My god, it looks like he took some lessons in special effects makeup because they play it off that, oh, he learnt this because he's in a bakery and he designs cakes. What bakery is painting a cake exactly like a tree? Hyper-realism at this point. You cannot convince me this is how he learnt to do what he did on his arm. Doesn't add up, okay? I don't care how Suzanne's trying to play it, doesn't add up. No, Suzanne, I caught you there. But you are forgiven. The next thing everyone has to do is audition for America's Got Talent. Katniss chokes just like Rachel Berry does for her Niada audition. Katniss shoots her bow and arrow again, except this time when she gets her bullseye, no one saw. Everyone saw her flop. They were like, she's a one-hit wonder. She can only do it once, so they don't bother looking this time. They're like, she missed the last one. She's not the real deal. No one moved. To get their attention though, Katniss instead shoots her arrow directly into the pig's mouth that's holding an apple, like where all the, where the game maker is and where like all the judges are judging her. It was a mega slay. If Katniss had a greatest hits album, this moment would have been on it. After their skill evaluation, each tribute is given a top trump rating from the game makers. Peter gets an 8. He isn't really a kind of card you hope no one takes from you, but Katniss is indeed a top trump. She is the card. She gets an 11, which is the highest out of all the tributes. Like if someone took her from you, you would be screaming, shaking, crying. In some ways though, I wouldn't want to be a top trump because I feel like it just puts a target on your back. I don't want that pressure. Like, you're in the arena, everyone knows you're an 11, they're going to come after your ass. They want you gone first. They want the odds to be in their favour. That's how I saw it anyway. Bit scandalous, but after the top trump ratings are given out, Peter no longer wants to train with Katniss and instead wants to train alone. Tension is brewing. But most importantly, we have the tribute interviews hosted by Crest 3D Whitening Strips. Glimmer from District 1, who was the girlie in Wizards vs. Angels, comes out in what I can only describe as an Ariana Grande bubblegum inspired dress. But that's all I really care to say about the tributes. Miss Girl on Fire enters the stage. The crowd is going wild. Sponsors are already being lined up. Her interview goes amazingly well. She has the whole relatable blunt girl energy to her and the Capitol is just eating it up. She brings the fire again with her, with the dress, and honestly, the fire department needs to be on standby wherever she is. Peter though. Peter owned that stage. He was born for the stage. He left no crumbs. There was nothing left on that plate. Man was born for show business. Whilst he's out there flirting with Crest 3D White Strips, he drops the bomb of all bombs. He is a crush. Not only that, but the person he has a crush on came here with him. Which only means one thing. He has a crush on Miss Katniss Everdeen. I'm still to this day so impressed with his mind. It's insane because I know he meant it, but it's like to put that in the interview, his marketing brain, I wish it's envious, honestly, because he knew that would make them desirable. He knew that would give the Capitol something to root for and to want to see more of and buy them more time. Peter doesn't get enough credit for that because that's absolutely insane mind work to think of that. Even if he didn't completely intend for it, he still did it. Because why else would he bring that up in the interview? He could tell Katniss that on the down low. Peter's the kind of guy that knows he can. But he chose to do it in the interview. I think he's a mastermind. Safe to say though, Katniss is not happy in the slightest with Peter's declaration of love. She decks Peter, WWE slams him into the wall. Katniss just is all up in his face. She's like, you made me look weak. You made me look pathetic. You want to not train with me anymore? And then you're saying you're in love with me? But he just laid out all the cards really in reality. Like he just made so many more options open for them. He made them have people to root for. You know, the Capitol's watching the Hunger Games like it's a silly little TV show. Now they have a couple to root for. Who knows when they last had that in the games? Probably never. That is prime time TV. But oh, does my heart break. Peter and Katniss are doing the Big Brother late night confessionals when Peter says to Katniss he doesn't want them to change him. As in, like, you know, the Capitol and the games changing, like, all these people. Flash forward to Mockingjay. Like, his pain. Suzanne Collins, you will pay for your crimes. But also I respect you too much for making this entire series that I'm absolutely obsessed with and I forever will love and continue to love. Okay. Like I want the cannon booms at my funeral. Locked in her little test tube, Katniss is sent sky high into the arena. It's Hunger Games Day, besties. Merch sales are through the roof. TV station can barely handle the ratings, the engagement. The kids just go all at it though at the cornucopia, even though I have no idea what a cornucopia actually is, even though I've been a fan of this series since I was 12. But it's just a poorly designed metallic box that they're all heading towards in this arena. I love in this movie though, and in Catching Fire, the way they show Katniss coming up into the arena. Although Catching Fire executes this moment so well and so perfectly, nothing's going to beat that for me. But the Hunger Games, the first one, didn't do an awful job at it either. They really went ham on the shaky cam though, all bars, but I don't know if I'm a fan of the really shaky cam, like when it's happening a lot, and that does happen a lot in this movie, and it can almost sometimes make you feel a bit motion sick. Love as well though how they just have this like random employee counting down the Hunger Games as if they couldn't just get a robotic or automated voice to do it. But hey, the employment rate in the capital seems very high. You win some, you lose some. Everyone is up in the woods running for their lives. I'm sad to report though, the boy, remember the one earlier who I said looked like he could be 12 or 47? He did get eliminated in like the first 5 seconds of the games. I don't know. I'd be kind of embarrassed if I didn't even last a day in the games, or let alone an hour. Like, oh my god, besties, don't even mention it. I died within the first 5 seconds. No, that wasn't me. Anyways, 12 people embarrassingly died within the first 10 minutes of the game. No offense, you deserve to be eliminated at that rate if you're not going to make it the first 10 minutes. Katniss is in her Bear Grylls era as she makes and does a bunch of things in the forest, in the woods, that make it seem like she's been there for a year already. I'm scared of heights, so I wouldn't really stand a chance, because Katniss is up here like scaling these trees, and I could never. Are you coming to the tree? Katniss is. She 100% is. That song authentic, but we know who the OG girlie is to sing that Lucy, I'm looking at you. There's also though a hidden camera in this tree, and it's such a bad angle. I would actually like throw myself off the tree if I saw that bad angle. Almost looks like a fisheye lens, and ew. If I made it out of the games and saw that people had been looking up my nostrils the entire time, I'd just volunteer for the next one. I don't want to be out there with my nostrils up in a screen. No, thank you. Now, in the games, there's like this little group that forms. Miss Bubblegum Ariana Grande dress is in the group, but not only her, Peter. He's in there too. Even worse is he is helping the group track down Katniss. She's on the FBI's most wanted list at this point, and what did I say? If you're a top trump, they're gonna come and get your ass. They want you gone. But betrayal, utter betrayal that Peter is in this group. My 2 takes on this group truly is, why? Why would you want to be in a group thing in the Hunger Games when you know ultimately you're gonna have to turn around on each other and kill each other? I don't want to make alliances. I want to get out of there with a clean slate, you know? I don't want to be friends with anyone, because you're going to have to then stab each other at some point. And who says when they decide that you're all done, like they want you gone in the group? Katniss hikes too far, and the game makers are having none of it. This is honestly cheating at this point from the game makers. They create this whole wildfire just to get Katniss to head closer back towards like the group of other tributes, because she was living too cozily on her own near the border of the arena, like shell, the force field, we can call it. Actually, I don't think there's one yet. There's not a force field yet, but she's too near the edge of the arena, and so therefore they send some fireballs hurtling towards her head, and I feel like she should have sued them. Especially since this is where she gets a nasty gash on her thigh, all because they decided to send some fireballs her way. They honestly look like big What's-It balls or big Cheeto balls if you're American, but this causes her to be a bit burnt. Her flesh is sizzling, it sounds like bacon on the stove, and her leg is out here like a raw steak at this point. The group with the boy with the bread though, they find Katniss because obviously after this injury, she's trying to like just be like little Pooh Bear in the ocean, enjoying her time. But they're ready to eliminate her. They want blood. Peter is in the back of the group, and I want to know what he would have done realistically if they did catch Katniss and try and eliminate her, because I'm not dumb. Peter didn't want her gone. He was just, again, marketing genius. He was doing what he had to do to survive, and he chose to be of the group. I don't think he would have actually let them attack Katniss, and if it did come to it, I think he would have thrown himself first, like in harm's way, to let her run. Katniss scales the tree though to safety. Cato, who is a courier from District 1, the one who had like a little argument in the training session earlier, he can't climb a tree to save his life. He gets about 2 inches off the ground and falls. Ha. Our first sponsor for Katniss pulls through, and it's a body cream. Soap and Glory 3-in-1 soothes, cleanses and heals her wound. After feeling revitalised, just like the back of the product promised, her wound turns into what would look more like corned beef rather than ham. Katniss sends a whole nest of trackerjackers onto the group below that were hunting her. Trackerjackers are genetically engineered wasps that have venom, which can cause pain, hallucinations, and in rare cases, death. Glimmer is apparently the smelliest bitch up in this place because all of the wasps flock straight to her, and this results in her being eliminated by the trackerjackers. The rest of the group kind of just runs off in a bunch of different directions within this frenzy. Katniss escapes from the group and she flings herself into the woods, like, a little bit further. But she experiences some hallucinations as she tries to get away due to the fact that when she was cutting down the wasp nest, the trackerjacker nest, she got stung a couple times. She sees Peter himself telling her to run, as well as Mr. Crest 3D whitening strips, but he's just doing like his little talk show thing. Nothing important there from him. Katniss awakens. She is covered in leaves. Turns out the icon that is Rue saved Katniss's life. How this tiny 12-year-old girl managed to drag Katniss's body to safety and then cover her with leaves, I don't know, but I respect her, and what an icon, what a girl boss. Also, just saying, Prim, if she was in the games, her and Rue could have been besties. They're both 12-year-olds. What more do they need? They could have been out there making daisy chains together. But no. Turns out, Katniss slept through 2 whole days of the games. I know the ratings were plummeting whilst Katniss was knocked out. Those were a dry couple days. Both Katniss and Rue have a little plan in store. This plan is to get back at the nasty group that was trying to eliminate Katniss. Their whole idea is to go destroy that group's stash of things they have piled high up in the centre near the cornucopia. Rue and Katniss decide on a way to communicate with each other with like a little Marco Polo game whilst they're both going off doing their things to make this plan happen. This is the first time that we use the Mockingjays. We get the iconic Thorne Hunger Games whistle. Miss Katniss Everdeen manages to blow up that whole group's stash of stuff that they had, but when she heads back into the woods, playing a little bit of Marco Polo, Rue isn't responding. We just have Marco, no Polo. Turns out Rue has been caught in a net like a fish. Katniss fights off the attacker and eliminates him, only to then turn around and see Rue has been impaled by a javelin. The javelin that attacker threw, by the way. I love the way this scene is done. It's absolutely a masterpiece of cinema. It all happens so quickly. And the fact that we see the guy throw the javelin past Katniss as she then eliminates him. When he throws the javelin, it's off camera, so we don't see where it lands. And then Katniss turns, and we see, just as Katniss sees, that Rue's been impaled. Cinema. That is cinema. A notification comes through. They're changing the rules. Instead of 1 victor, they will now allow there to be 2 victors if both of them are from the same district. Basically, viewership was down. They wanted to find a way to get these ratings to boost ASAP. They wanted to do anything to get some penis screen time. That's not me being vulgar. That is the ship name of Katniss and Peter. I don't make the rules. Katniss tracks Peter down with a trail of blood. Her vampire senses unlocked. I think she was trying to tell us something when she chose the Twilight background for her bedroom in the penthouse earlier. But she was like, yeah, that scent, that shade of red, that is Peter. That is my boy with the bread. Turns out he is camouflaged as a rock on the ground. I want to know which sponsor sent him the entire Hobbycraft store. Which one was it? Who had so much money that they sent him the entire store to do this hyper-realism rock thing that he does? With Peter all injured though, a little slice in his leg, a bit more than a little slice, but he's really slowing the two of them down. He's hip-hopping, a steady snail's pace. Luckily though, they find a cozy little cave to set up camp in, and Katniss gives Peter a little peck on the cheek. The romance is starting to sizzle, you know? They're setting the scene. Gale, back in District 12, sees this on the TV and he's ready to get his little burn book out. He's all upset and shit over this, and man wouldn't survive a day in Europe. Another sponsor sends in some soup for Peter, and he's all like, "Can I have some bread, please?" No. There's no bread, just disappointment. After the soup, Peter is all in his feels, and he shares all of his top 10 Katniss moments throughout the years. He also unlocks stalker status. Now look, I love him so much. That boy with the bread, he is my boy with the bread. But, and I will defend him until my last dying breath, but he did say he watched her every single day when she came over from school, every day. He didn't miss a beat. Every day he was there watching her. Again though, I know the Capitol were eating it up. They had their popcorn tubs out. They were mixing more drinks, and then I know they lost their shit when Peter and Katniss finally kissed in that musty dusty cave. They were like, oh my god, true love does exist, and they were right. And in your face, girl, if that kiss on the cheek was too much, I'm so happy you saw the kiss on the lips. That probably sent him over the edge. He was probably having cardiac arrest at that point. But it's almost like that man was running a whole reaction channel down in the Capitol, the way he looks at that damn screen all the time. My god, you guys weren't even dating. You and Katniss weren't even a thing. And he's out here crying over it, and she's out here fighting for her life. Deal with it. I'm sorry, gal. Maybe your name should have been in there 43 times. I know he was punching the air that day at the Reaping when his name wasn't chosen to go in with Katniss. As the wound from Mr. Boy with the bread isn't getting any better, the game makers make another very convenient announcement. There's a little feast in the cornucopia. Each tribute will have something there that they desperately need. AKA Peter needs medicine, and Katniss knows this. At the metal chamber, a girlie eats a blade at Katniss's head, and my god, the precision, but my god, does it connect. She slices up Katniss's forehead, no other way to say it, like it's a nasty cut. Very fresh looking. Edward would struggle to be around Katniss right now. In Katniss's favour, she stored up some luck here, as due to her looking after Rue in the games and just being really nice to her and giving her a nice send-off, Thresh from the same district as Rue saves Katniss. He's like, this is for Rue. You were with Rue. Therefore, he eliminates the girlie that tried to eliminate Katniss. Not all heroes wear capes. One thing I do want to say is, how did Thresh know that Rue and Katniss were alliances in the games? Because when I was watching this, he was nowhere to be seen when Rue and Katniss were hanging out. Because he's not watching the TV. How did he know that Katniss worked with Rue? How did he know that Katniss gave Rue a nice send-off and that the one that did do that was Katniss? He didn't know, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, with the medicine secured, Katniss heads back to Peter, and they do a little first aid on each other, and who guessed it, by the next morning they are healed. Ready to slay the day, Peter makes a little joke with Katniss when they head off into the woods together that he should take her bow and arrow. At first you're like, excuse me, what do you mean? Suspicious behaviour. But then he's all like, just joking. And I swear, this is the moment where Katniss first properly fell for Peter. Even just a little bit. This was the first moment. Minutes though after they split up in different directions, we hear a cannon boom. Katniss goes ballistic. She's running, screaming, Peter! Turns out he's okay. They are both okay. But he was about to not be okay as Katniss realises he was collecting nightlock berries, aka you will die within seconds of consumption of these berries. She smacks that shit out of his hand. She's like, you never hold that again. But then 2 seconds later, she picks that stuff up off the ground and she's like, what if Cato's hungry? Because at this point, there's only 3 of them left. Just I didn't really update you for that, but there's only 3 of them left right now. Cato, Peter, Katniss. Again, though, the game makers are actually evil. Mr. Beardman, for all I care, can go drink a pint of out-of-date milk. Why is he giggling and blushing like a little schoolgirl as he sends a pack of mutated wolf creatures into the arena to go and chase Peter, Katniss, and Cato? He's also doing this because they want to speed this shit up. They want to send all of the tributes that are left to the cornucopia for the finale of the games. Viewership was down. They really needed to speed this up. They needed to get this games over with. The 74th Hunger Games was dragging on a bit. Apparently from the Capitol, that's what they said. That's their reports. I wonder if some of the Capitol people were disappointed by the choice of arena. They were like, the woods, that's so boring. You know, we can go outside and see that. Where's the flair? They get that the next movie. But, big-ass wolf mutation creature things chase Peter and Katniss straight to the cornucopia, and when I read the book, I swear I remember it saying that the eyes of these mutated creatures actually had, the eyes of the dead tributes. I don't know if they physically had the eyes, but they were made with the eyes. Katniss was like, I recognise those eyes. That was Rue. That was pure awfulness. That was so messed up. This is a really funny moment to me because on top of the cornucopia, Cato's up there, that's his kingdom. He had multiple opportunities up here to eliminate Katniss and Peter. There's a pack of rabid creatures on either side of this cornucopia ready to eat their flesh. End it all. And Cato keeps throwing both of them to safety on top of this cornucopia. He could have had the games in the bag if he had just thrown both of them over the edge of the cornucopia. He would have won within seconds. He had the higher ground. He had the higher footing there. All he had to do was send them both over the edge. He would have won. But that's not how this happens. Cato keeps throwing them to the centre of the cornucopia, and he then decides to hold Peter hostage. And he's all like, shoot me! Shoot me! And Katniss doesn't, because it's hard for Katniss to get a clear shot of Cato without injuring Peter. Because obviously she doesn't want Peter to get taken either. Mr. Boy of the Bread, though, must have some large-ass lung capacity, because Cato is out here choking him out, and he lasts. He does so well for himself. I would not. I can barely breathe whilst I'm inhaling a pizza. And Peter's being choked out here and he's thriving. Katniss is still trying to get a clear shot of Cato so she can get Peter to safety. And Peter, being the mastermind he is, he signals to Katniss like this. Okay, look, I'll do it like a retelling. He goes, but he keeps pointing at Cato's hand to show Katniss, shoot his hand. You've got this, bestie. He trusted her precision, and he was right to do that because she shoots Cato in the hand just like Peter suggested, and Cato goes flying. He falls off the side of the cornucopia, and he honestly has such a miserable death. I think that's awful because those pack of creatures just go ham at him and he's screaming. Katniss does put him out of his misery, thank God, because I don't think anyone deserves that death. I know Cato wasn't the nicest character in this movie, but he's still a victim of the Capitol and the games, as were they all. He was just a bit nastier in there, but you can't blame him entirely for this. He was put in there to kill people, as were all of them. This is what he was born and bred to do. He was literally groomed to be a tribute in the Hunger Games. That's all he knew. The cannon booms though, the final tribute has died, but then plot twist. The game makers make another announcement. They say, hey besties, remember earlier when we said 2 people could win? No, we take that back. We're just kidding. That's not happening anymore. Thanks, besties. That's all. Mr. Boy with the Bread, Peter Malark, instantly offers himself up to Katniss to eliminate. He doesn't even hesitate. He's just like, yeah, you can eliminate me. I love the Boy with the Bread so much.
I can't.
But then Katniss decides if only one of them can win, then none of them should. Remember the nightlock berries that Katniss slapped out of Peter's hands earlier? Remember as well, she had them in the pocket? Yeah, they're here to make another appearance. Both Katniss and Peter have a handful of the berries, and they're like, let's count down from 3 and then we'll gulp these up and this will be the end of the games. We can't win together, we can't win. They're on 1, they're about to eat those berries, and then the game makers panic. They're like, wait. The 74th victors of the Hunger Games. Peter and Katniss have both won. They are the tributes, they are the victors of the 74th annual Hunger Games. And now look, there's some speculation here as to whether Peter would have understood the assignment and not guzzled down that box of berries, as Katniss was suggesting they did, as she never explicitly said to him, we're not eating these berries as soon as I count down to 1, we're doing it in slow motion. But this is where I jump in. Peter was a marketing genius. Do you really think he's going to scoff those berries? Of course he knew to do it slowly. He set up the whole star-crossed lovers thing, and he owned the stage with Crest 3D white strips. Don't doubt him. Back in the capital, Haymitch lets it be known that the powers that be are not happy with Katniss for showing them up. AKA Mr. President Snow is a sore loser. Mr. Beardman gets eliminated because of this, and it's what he deserves. He was giggling as he sent those creatures into the arena, so for that, he deserves nothing but misery and death. On their press tour though, Peter and Katniss continue to give the capital what they want. Love. Something the capital has never seen before. This is foreign to them, and they're eating it up. This is like their favourite thing. And I love it. Peter and Katniss really own that stage. As a couple, they are the power couple. They are the it couple. They are the Troy and Vanessa of the capital. Snow gives both of them a crown to wear at this little ceremony to mark that they are the victors. But I know his breath was hot and musty as he was up in Katniss's face, mumbling his little words like, speak up, old man. Even though, do I want that stench near me? I don't think so. On the train ride home, Katniss says that when they get home, they can just try to forget the games. But Peter says, I don't want to forget. Oh, my heart. Oh, this man, he's forever got my heart in a chokehold. He deserves the whole world. That would have been a perfect ending. But then Peter and Katniss are both back in District 12, and we see the musty man Gale. Did we really have to? But to him again, because united as ever, Peter and Katniss hold their hands up in unity in the air, and the crowd is roaring. Young love wins, true love wins, the boy of the bread always wins. Mr. Musty Breath though isn't having it. He hates this live stream that he's watching, and he does a cunty little exit from the game room before we cut to the credits of the movie. And iconic, whole movie iconic. And that also brings us to the end of the first Hunger Games movie. That is my whole recap of this first one. Let me know if you want to recap another Hunger Games movie. I'd be more than happy to. I love the Hunger Games. What more can I say? I live, love and breathe the Hunger Games, and I have since I was 12, and I am much older than 12 now, and I'm so excited to see the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, on November 17th at the cinema. I know Rachel Zegler is going to eat this roll up. I don't doubt her in the slightest, and I'm just so excited. Anyways, I'll see you all at the cinema, and maybe see you for a Catching Fire recap. Who knows? Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice rest of your day. Bye! Are you coming to the tree? Dead man calls out, forest of the free. Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree.